Okay, moving on to the Googledom.
Oh no.
Oh yes, there must be Googledom. Okay, first things first. Let's look at +1.
I mean, Google's attempt to copy the Facebook like feature.
Maybe.
I think Facebook's gonna die. I'm sorry, guys. If y'all, I mean, it's excited, kind of off topic, but I think it's gonna burn out just like MySpace.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Facebook has something going for it that MySpace didn't, and in that it capitalized on another thing. But it's one of those things. Facebook. For those who don't really understand the Facebook business model, Facebook is the AOL business model.
Yep.
Of all roads must come here. So they're doing great on a bubble market that may or may not ever pop. If it pops, it's going to be like the same thing with AOL. It's just going to pop. There's not going to be this graceful tailor off. It's going to be we're all sick of Facebook. But there's
a lot of Facebook burnout. I mean, a lot of it, especially that they can't control a lot of the internal security.
Well, no, I'd say that's the end of the thing. At the end of the day, whether or not Facebook dies comes down to, can any strong Facebook competitor get enough ground to really be a challenge to Facebook? And we've had at least a dozen Facebook breaches of mass privacy, and people are still Facebooking. So it's one of those things. How screwed does their user base have to be that they're going to finally go, okay, the other 12 didn't piss us off enough to leave, but this 13th one, this one got me pissed. Because, I mean, there are people who just leave Facebook. You know, little things like, there's actually a friend of my, a friend of someone I know, her Facebook account got hacked, and they were using her account for social engineering and basically like saying she'd been kidnapped and she needed money and so on and so forth. And as soon as she found out about this, she like called everybody. She didn't Facebook, she called everybody, goes, I have not been kidnapped, I am not being held hostage, and I am never Facebooking again. It's like, but and there are people who react like that, but it's one of those things, if you leave it, then you can't interact with it at all. You can't Facebook. And so I don't interact with it. People say, well, I'm on Facebook a lot. I'm like, well, okay, I'm in the real world a lot. Look me up sometime.
I'm going to put up a link about this since you're on it. This comes from Yahoo Finance, and it was a great video that I had watched. It was a couple of days ago. Phenomenal. And its title is "Social Media Changing Life as We Know It." And it's about these top investors when Facebook was evaluated at $75 billion. If anybody believes that, I think they need to go, just go try something else. But these investors, I think, are spot on. This is exactly the same .com bubble stuff. There are these other investors that are exciting that have the same amount of drive and blind investing into something that's just not substantiated.
And that's the thing in general right now in two things. If you want to raise capital like crazy, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's no potential in this industry, but the two big buzzwords right now for raising capital are cloud and social.
Yes.
Cloud and social. Oh, where can I sign? It's the next Facebook. Yada yada. But like you say, it's a .com bubble burst. And this was the same. This is why I'm like, you know what? You can change the rules, you can change the regulation all you damn well want, but people are still going to be dumbasses. Because that was the thing with the Facebook thing. We raised with the .com bubble burst. We raised $200 million in capital and spent 190 of it in our opening party. You know, these are not people with the business. These are not people with a business model. However, at the exact same time this pure madness was going on, companies like Amazon, eBay, and a few others, which are hallmarks today, were also being started. And it's the same thing going on right now. I think there are companies in this soup that have valid business models, that are potentially multi-billion-dollar companies, that They will sign. But they're going to make it not because they're doing cloud, not because they're doing a new social aspect, but because they have a sound business model, business common sense, and at the end of the day, they're going to run a business. And like you say, when that bubble starts to pop, we're going to see all these cloud and social wannabes just suddenly go from being worth this to worth toilet paper's worth more.
That's what I'm discouraging. I'm just trying to say, let's not create another damn bubble, even though one now exists, obviously, with Facebook, that we need to be careful. Obviously, social media can make money, but is it something that we need to inflate and actually consider some concrete pillar of the .com world? See, and these investors are talking about investing in cloud, just as you were saying, in infrastructure, because as the economy is not doing so hot, more and more services are trying to find cheaper ways of getting content out there, and the Amazon cloud and others that are out there are becoming more and more widespread as an alternative, cheaper solution. And guess what? The backbone now needs to be able to support this kind of stuff. So they were totally in this video that I posted in Yahoo Finance is...
Well, no, and I guarantee you what's going to happen here is the same thing that happened with the .com burst. When the .com bubble popped, all the regulators went in there and said, oh, we need to make sure this never happens again. So now it's largely illegal to start a company like this. And that will protect everybody. And the same thing's going to happen when this bubble pops. They're going to come in, and the few companies that manage to get going and get enough capital to get under, that actually have valid business models, there'll be hallmarks in 2020. There'll be these great companies that had the foresight to realize the sign and actually do just honest, sound business. But nobody will ever be able to duplicate their business model because the regulators will have knocked in there after a bubble pop and say, this business model is dangerous. It hurts dumb people. Because the reality is, you can't duplicate eBay or Amazon's business model today because it's actually...
Those are hard products. Wait a minute, but that's a hard product.
No. But they're
emotional win for crying out loud, just playing Farmville or Mafia Wars.
I know. I know.
I mean, receiving a book or downloading an MP3 or having an auction, I think, is significantly more meaningful than getting some gift egg.
But you want to hear the really sick thing? That whole virtual, non-existent their world industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry going on 10 years strong. Facebook and Farmville is just the latest incarnation of it.
Farmville is a game that I see as making money, but I don't believe in the evaluation of Facebook. I really don't. I think that's a huge bubble that'll just come to pass. If it's really that high, it's overinflated, and then a lot of people are going to be really crying come shortly, I think.
I think Facebook has value, but I'm with you. I don't think it has that much.
But
anyways...
Social media has value. We use it, but it is nowhere near that amount of value. It's just not part of our social structure as being something that...
But they want to be. They want the whole internet to flow with them. They want to be the AOL that rules the internet.
Actually provided a service, did it not? It was an internet service provider. I mean, that's a hard product. But then I always hated AOL because I mean it's like being in the Apple world or any other really super controlled world. It's like you go in their doorway and that's it. It's like their own plaza. They've got their own restaurants, their own clothing stores, their own places to get gas. And
this is an Apple user, folks.
But Apple wasn't always this way. That's the thing. Apple was misinterpreted as being it was protectionist. Versus controlling. It was just protecting a lot of its assets and its history. Versus today, when its technology and its hardware is the very same that I've got in my custom PC here.
Liberty versus security. Anyways, before we get off on a tirade here, getting back to the Google +1, the other thing that's insane about the Google +1 is I could swear, maybe my memory's playing tricks on me, but I thought way back in the day, like Google had this option where when you Googled something, you could like vote it up in the search engine. I realize this is more like the Facebook like, but at the end of the day,
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, but at the end of the
that's exactly what Dick does.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if this gets popular, this is going to become the preferred like button for no other reason than it's part of Google, which means it will ultimately become a weighing factor on the Google algorithm. And your Google and I'm like, but like Google tried to do this before social media back in the day, where like when you searched, it's like no, my number 4 result should be my number 1 result, and like you were helping improve the Google algorithm, but everybody was afraid to click it because they didn't want their Google results to be different. And people don't realize this now, but if you're logged into your Google account, Google starts learning. The Google results you get when you're logged into any Google account are different than Google results from a generic Google search.
Until you clear your history.
Yeah, actually, until you log out of the account, or you do a manual clear by adding the URL hack on the end, because your account continues to evolve what it thinks are the best results. Most people don't realize that, but if you Google for something a lot and you're looking for site X, it can be as much as a 50 ranking difference. Like something that should be on page 5 is on page 1, because Google knows that's what you're looking for. I have mixed feelings about it, because on the one hand it is helping me find what I'm looking for, but as somebody whose part of their job description is to get other people to rank, it means I have to sit there and explain to people how the Google results on their computer aren't actually their actual Google results. That their actual Google results are this arbitrary thing I pulled, either using Google tools or an external software, and they're like, but it's here, it's number 3. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's not number 3. It's number 3 on your page because you're always looking for your own site. It's like, So I don't know if it catches on. I see it doing really well, but this isn't like this is the first time Google's tried to enter the social media thing, or even do this exact very thing. It's like, and they've but what was that Google thing? I keep wanting to say Bing, but that Bing's Microsoft. What was the Google social service? Buzz, yes. Like, did anybody buzz? It's like,
I thought you were referring to Orkut.
Oh, that too. It's like, this is one of those, sit back and see. On the other hand, something like this could be a fix to something that's a big problem with Google search results right now, which is the slap a lot of sites are getting, where they're being devalued as quote-unquote low-value content. And something like this is real. I think that's the real reason Google's putting this out, because something that's not too talked about right now is if you're one of these sites that's been unfortunate enough to be slapped by the tweak to the algorithm as being labeled low-value content, there isn't really a fix for that yet. You know, like the suggestion is remove AdSense, but there's people who do that. They remove all Google advertising, everything, and it still doesn't fix it. They still don't get their traffic back. Aside from a curated fix like this, I don't really see that manual retweaking of the Google algorithm to punish low-quality content getting fixed, where when the algorithm guesses wrong, it ever gets fixed. It's just that Google accidentally labels you low quality and you're not. You're low quality now. Get used to it. It's like, sort of interactive curation like this. So it could fix that.
Why no one lines up for the Zoom?
Yeah, why no? Yeah, last story. Why no one lines up for the Zoom? I honestly, this gets back to what you were saying about touch. It's a good point, and it's the idea of, is or isn't there a tablet market? You know, is this tablet market a bubble market and just like a niche Apple device, or is there really a tablet market that's just ready to explode and everybody's going to start buying tablets instead of computers? Because we're in a world right now where CEOs of companies are being fired for not moving fast enough on tablets.
Yeah, I have my opinion on that, and quite frankly, I'm more convinced that this is a temporary deal. In that tablets have been around for quite a while. I've worked heavily with tablets, predominantly because I program a lot for hospitals. Doctors love to have anything tablet-like, and especially in the niche that I'm programmed for. And I do very much think that anything really that Apple comes up with, because let's be honest here. There was a big halo effect with the iPod that helped the Mac recover. The second major thing that helped the Mac recover was switching to Intel. Now the Mac has a compounding halo effect with the iPhone, because it just expanded the demographics beyond what I call a single-use device, which is why Apple will always likely be the king MP3 player and king MP3 market, because Apple excels at niche devices, and that
I hate to say this, but if they would open iTunes up just a little bit, like they would add a cloud-based UI to it so it could run cross-platform, and they would open the iPods up just enough so that they were fully compatible with all platforms. If they would do that, they could guarantee that lock-in pretty much for the next 50 years.
Yeah, they might.
But the reason everybody's trying to, the reason there's all this iPod competition is because not everybody can use an iPod, and if you're on a Windows system where you have this conflicting software and other things, if they would make a cloud-based portal and they would open up just enough so that you didn't have to have a Mac to have the best iPod iOS experience. If they would just open that up enough, they could pretty much kill competition for the media players.
Right. Well, and continuing, I think that the iPad has its place within what Apple sells to. Its demographics. Now, there are going to be a lot of people that will buy the iPad and have buyer's remorse, and or maybe not have remorse, and just the cool factor wears off and it sits on a table and does nothing for the rest of its life.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about in iWorld.
Yeah, but there are going to be consumers that I know that have iPads that have found very productive uses for them. I just don't think I'm convinced yet that this is something that can really replace a netbook yet. I've really considered hardcore, because I'm looking to get a tablet, but it's got to have specific functionality for me.
Well, now see, and
like a mantra on what a tablet means to me versus somebody else. And really, a tablet is just a very limited multi-purpose device.
Well, no, and at the end of the day, that's the thing. I'm not quite where you are. I haven't given up on, and Leo is falling asleep here. It's like,
no, I'm not falling asleep.
I haven't given up on tablets. I think there is a place for them, and I think there is a tablet market. However, I think for that market to stick, it has to solve something. Like you say, we've had tablets for a decade. And the reason that market is like it becomes, this is the next incarnation of the tablet or the Slate, everybody gets them, and off to it. But then they realize, and this bubble is starting to come on here, okay, the software I need to do what I actually want to do hasn't been developed yet, and the limitations of the infrastructure to do what I actually want to do isn't built out yet. Now, there are some things different this go around. We have a true mobile internet structure. It's not fast, but we have it. Unfortunately, even though the infrastructure exists, the people who are in charge of it, AT&T, Verizon, and a few others, are intent on making sure nobody uses it. And, an infrastructure you can't use versus no infrastructure really at the end of the day is the same problem. I can't do what I want to do, so what's the point?
Well, but see, I'm finding most people that I know that have an iPad don't even use the data services. They're using applications that just run local without the access to the network. As a matter of fact, I see most of the time with the iPad and iPhones that they're becoming more and more gaming devices. And think about it. Apple went the way of having a multi-core GPU in the iPad 2, which is nothing but helping.
Oh no, that was designed to be a gamepad, not a usable or work pad. That was designed to be a gamepad. I think the iPad 2 was literally made for OnLive. I think that's what it was made for.
I think they're becoming more and more niche, and the iPad will probably evolve into a gaming device in the end that can surf and do this. I think Apple will lose the iBook battle, and quite frankly, it has all these other services, but yet these iPad owners that I see, they use their own personal GPS, like from TomTom or whatever the hell other brands are out there. Rather than using the GPS in the iPad, they use their iPhone for serious text messaging. Still, they often use their iPhone more for browsing quickly versus them picking up the iPad.
Well, no, but see, no, here's the missing piece to that, and this goes to what I was talking about. Even Apple hasn't gotten this right. I know I'm going to make enemies of all the Apple fanboys right now, but here is the experience you need to have with a Slate device for Slates to stick. And this isn't the experience you have. The experience you need to have is I'm walking around with my Slate, and I'm just doing stuff. And I come to my desk, and basically it's an interface device that through my local networks, the internet, everything else, basically in a way that's elegant and seamless, I just switch modes. You know, I can do things like click it and it's there on my computer screen, and then I do with it there, and then I'm back to... There needs to be this full cloud seamless integration, which is going to use lots of data and need that infrastructure that the cell phone companies desperately don't want anybody using. Basically, we have the stuff. The two missing pieces are the ability to use the infrastructure that we have and the software to tie it all together. When that is done, there's a tablet market. Until that's done, there's not really a tablet market. There's a tablet bubble.
Yeah, see, and that's why I'm only looking currently at RIM and HP. RIM is providing bridging between BlackBerries and its tablet, which is actually smaller. And I'm actually liking that because the way I'm looking at this is, again, it's an extension of my mobile phone. And if you know what, I want to leave my mobile phone and I can pick up phone calls from it, which the HP device promises, not so much RIM, but that is all the better because I'm not wanting to lug everything around. Or why do I want to need a tablet when I can just get a very thin netbook to haul around?
Well, so, and those of us who have been road warriors and dragging the 20-pound pack around, is like we would actually like a world where we drag our 5-pound, our 1 pound to 5 pound little thing around. We'd love that world. It's like no discs, no drives, no sign. This is just my link. Like we love that world. But for it to serve as that's what it has to be. It has to be our link, not our interface. They're very different things.
Exactly. And you know what? None of the Apple devices communicate with each other.
No.
Apple has no sense of cloud whatsoever. They are the world's worst company currently at doing that for these.
That's really funny when you think about Apple. They're the most ahead in product A is made to sell product B, is made to sell product C, yet, like you say, they have no sense whatsoever for the software elegance that can go with actually letting these devices truly interlink. Not using them to physically sell each other, but actually just let them interlink into an experience greater than the sum of its parts. And if any company you would think would just get that by nature of their company, but like you say, it's like this contradiction in Apple. It's like, on the one hand, you would think that'd be the next logical step for them, but they literally cannot see it at all.
Yep. And see, I don't know. I feel really sad that some of these CEOs are getting fired when I think that they're probably more cautious and saying, look, why are we going to spend a tremendous amount of logistics and resources to try to pump something out that we're not really even sure of? We don't have really anything in front of us that can really compete with it. We don't have a whole lot of apps. We don't have X, Y, and Z in place. And yet you guys want us to roll out because you're fearful that we can make X amount of dollars when actually you'll probably lose a tremendous amount of that money when these products sit in inventory.
Yeah. Leo, do you have anything to say? You look like you're just getting bored.
I'm not getting bored. I don't have anything to say on camera right now.
Okay. I think we've actually gone through everything, so we want to just pause off there and then have our other conversations. I'm sorry, y'all aren't invited. See y'all next show. And